Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Erin Wetterbrook-Yaskaitis, and I'm the Director of Learning and Development for the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Chamber, I would like to welcome the Boston's Future Leaders Class of 2022 and their support system, managers, sponsors, nominators, and loved ones to today's graduation ceremony. Please note that this session is being recorded and will be uploaded onto YouTube. Three numbers I want to highlight: 106, 73, and 10. What do these mean? Well, there's 106 as of my last count, 106 people tuning in to today's ceremony to celebrate 73 professionals who completed Boston's Future Leaders in 10 months. Those are some awesome numbers. Our Boston's Future Leaders program, or BFL as we call it, provides emerging and promising leaders with a socially conscious and civically engaged leadership toolkit, blending academic content, practical application, and networking. Participants graduate with the skills, experiences, and connections needed to lead Boston and the region into an equitable and innovative future. Taking on such a program while managing career goals is no easy feat, as the world around us becomes increasingly complex. The pandemic, the recession, continued racial injustice, a hybrid workforce. But the class of 2022 is extraordinary and had an extraordinary year. And I don't use that term lightly. I started my position in May, and I quickly realized the caliber of professionals during the first in-person session that we had over the summer. I was truly blown away by the level of engagement, intellect, passion, and openness of this group. This cohort navigated the return to an in-person BFL program and all the COVID protocols that required. This cohort juggled work and family commitments, job changes, tight work schedules, and pressure and expectations. With so many responsibilities in your professional and personal lives, it is truly admirable that all of you participants chose to prioritize your leadership and professional development goals this year. And we are so proud of you for the ways that you showed up to this program, but also for yourselves and for each other. Today, we celebrate all you have accomplished and celebrate you joining an impressive alumni network of other leaders. BFL alumni are creating an incredible future for our city and our region. Now, I would like to welcome our first speaker today. All of the participants, you already know her, April Wallace, the Executive Vice President of Human Resources and Administration for the Greater Boston Food Bank. We partnered with GBFB for the Leadership Challenge, a key component of the curriculum. Every step of the way, April and her team have been true collaborators, and we're grateful for such a phenomenal organization in our community. April, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Erin. It is my pleasure to be here and represent the Greater Boston Food Bank. On behalf of our organization, my colleagues Jessica Crimmins, Richard Giz, and Deborah Keneally, we thank you for inviting us to participate in this year's challenge. We found all of the participants and presentations thoughtful and engaging, and we appreciated the dedication and care that participants took in helping us to think through how we can make our organization a better place to work. I think it's really important to restate that by helping us, everyone helped the greater Boston community. You all understood that by caring for our team members, you were caring for the greater Boston community, many of your neighbors, friends, loved ones, etc. Selecting two teams was very difficult for us. We found all of the presentations very thorough, very engaging, very innovative, and all of the words that you can imagine that go along with pulling together really impressive presentations. It was hard for us, and we had to talk and then walk away and then come back because we were just so overwhelmed with joy and impressed by what was presented before us. And at the end of the day, to be transparent, we will probably implement or adopt ideas from every presentation. But alas, there were only 2 that we could select. At least that's what we were told. So in doing what we were told, we did select 2, and I'll tell you a little bit more about those 2 in a moment. Colin, if you could present the slides, that would be great.
And then April, if you want me to move on to the next slide, it announces the team. Are you ready for that?
It might be helpful to give a little bit of context for the guests who are here, so I'm happy to do that if that's okay. So for those who were not familiar, for the loved ones and supporters that are here, for the participants, our leadership challenge was, how would you design the optimal workplace flexibility program for the future while achieving a competitive advantage when some positions cannot be fulfilled remotely? Just to give you a little bit of context, if you haven't been to the Greater Boston Food Bank location before, first, let me be the first one to invite you to come visit us. Second, in thinking about the Greater Boston Food Bank, we are essentially a food distribution site. So think less about a food pantry, although we partner with over 600 agencies, including food pantries across the state, but truly a food distribution center similar to a Shaw's or a Stop and Shop. And so we have many different types of positions, of which about 40% of those positions work in our warehouse. And so those roles cannot work remotely. And furthermore, we do have most of our space is dedicated to food storage. So in offering up this challenge to the participants, we try to give as much information to them about our workspace, and thank those again who were able to come and visit our organization. And with that said, Colin, if you want to move on to the next slide, that would be great. So Team 3, thank you so much for all of the work that you put into this. And Team 9, thank you also for all of the work that you put into this. I'll speak a little bit about each of the teams and their presentations. Team 3's presentation demonstrated a strategic approach to developing recommendations. Their presentation was comprehensive and creatively presented. They heard that the building was part of our culture, and their recommendations give us the opportunity to think about how our organization's spirit can radiate beyond the building. The focus on team member growth and engagement resonated with us. Despite their strategic approach, the Team 3 participants gave us recommendations that were tactical in nature and easy to implement. And so in taking a look at the presentation and also the answers to our questions, we found that while you took a strategic approach, we really enjoyed the fact that we could take what you gave us and implement it right away without second guessing. And then Team 9. Team 9 focused on one of the GBFB team member values, and that was the value of trust. We appreciated this team's honesty in that remote work is now a norm and not a privilege. It forced us to think a little bit differently about how we approach this challenge in our organization. Team 9's presentation was also comprehensive and provided really creative ideas for workforce development. Their recommendations give us the opportunity to think how we can better empower teams to achieve their own work-life balance. And they really understood that by caring for team members, that you were caring for, or we are caring for, the community. And so again, the presentations, all of them were excellent. And I cannot impress upon you enough how excited we still are to go through and share all that we learned from this experience. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in this year's challenge. And we look forward to engaging all of our leadership in reviewing all the recommendations presented, working towards enhancing our workplace. On behalf of the executive and senior leadership teams at the Greater Boston Food Bank, we continue to invite all of the participants and everyone here to help our organization. And if you ever have any questions about how to do that, Erin and Rachel have my information. You can always also go to gbfb.org. Thank you so much for everything, and congratulations to all of the participants, in particular Teams 3 and Team 9. I will pass back to Rachel or Erin.
Thank you so much, April, and congratulations again to our winning teams. It was so wonderful to work with your entire team at the Greater Boston Food Bank, and I hope that everyone here is able to visit your site and the amazing work that you do. The winning teams 3 and 9 will be featured in the Chamber's social media channels, our e-newsletters, and the Boston's Future Leaders webpage in the coming weeks. And Erin will be in touch with all of you to arrange details before the holidays, so keep an eye out for an email from Erin. Everyone, my name is Rachel Benjamin. I'm our Learning and Development Program Manager here at the Greater Boston Food Bank, and I am so excited to share an overview of this year's BFL program and introduce our next speakers. Before I do that, though, I would like to welcome John Joy to the stage. John is our Senior Director of Membership Development, who will share ways that you can all stay involved with the Chamber, both as alumni and supporters. John, over to you.
Thank you, Rachel. And again, congratulations to the Boston Future Leaders Class of 2022. I hope you all enjoyed your experience and are looking forward to continuing the journey with the Chamber. As Rachel mentioned, our mission here at the Chamber is to make Greater Boston the best place for all businesses and all people to thrive. And we need leaders like each of you to help us accomplish that. Throughout this program, you got a taste of what the Chamber has to offer. And I want to give you a bit of an overview of the ways you can stay engaged to help shape the future of Greater Boston. We work towards this mission through a number of initiatives. And, you know, for most of you probably already know, one, we are this networking organization. This Chamber hosts over 100 programs a year that really brings the business community out to connect with one another. We do that through a couple of different offerings here at the Chamber. One is we have monthly events, we have quarterly events, we have yearly events. Some of our monthly events is the Government Affairs Forum, which features the governor, the mayor, the speaker of the house, anywhere from an audience of anywhere from 300 to 700 folks in the room, a lot of your C-level folks that typically attend these events. We also have this robust women's network initiative here at the Chamber, a little bit over 3,000 women strong, including male allies as well. It's a great opportunity really to build your professional network and hear from inspiring leaders. There's also a City Awake programming that we do here at the Chamber, which is really geared to more younger professionals, ages 19 and 25. How do we engage our younger professionals more in business and government? And we do these annual events. Next month, we will host our annual Pinnacle Awards luncheon, in which we will honor 8 outstanding women in our community. It's the Chamber's second largest gathering, a little bit over 1,500 folks that typically are in the room. So we hope that you can engage with us at some of these events. But again, we do a lot on the programming side. Second is that we're an advocacy organization. So we do focus on issues at the city, state, and federal level, mostly state, whether it be transportation, whether it be housing, whether it be healthcare, whether it be climate readiness. We have about 8 leadership councils that kind of drive some of this mission. So if there are opportunities, I would just check with your main contact to see if there are opportunities to engage on some of these leadership councils if you're not taking advantage of it already. Thirdly, as many of you have gone through the Boston Future Leaders Program, we offer a portfolio of learning and development programs to give participants the skills and networks they need for their careers. For example, we also offer a women's leadership program in partnership with Simmons University. And we also offer a popular transformational diversity, equity, and inclusion certificate. And fourthly, we have an economic opportunity arm that ensures all of our work we're doing benefits everyone. This arm has a specific focus on racial equity. So you can learn more about that on our website at bostonchamber.com and click on our economic and inclusion. No matter what your interest or experience levels, we have a place for you here at the Chamber, and we're always welcome to engage many of you in some of our different initiatives. It's interesting when I look at a lot of these companies, I had the opportunity to recruit some of these companies and engage them. So again, you do have a place at the chamber. And the best way to stay up to date is I encourage you to sign up for our newsletter. And if you have any questions about how to engage in the chamber, you can reach out to myself. You can reach out to Rachel. You can reach out to Colin. You can reach out to Erin. Any information that you need, happy to engage you. And again, just congratulations on graduating the class for this year. And now I'll turn it back to Rachel.
Thank you so much, John, for sharing all those opportunities. And I did put in the chat our website where you can learn more about all of our offerings. Now, I would like to give you all a brief overview of this year's Boston's Future Leaders program before I introduce our next speakers. So we began at Harvard Business School, where we co-created a model that outlined 3 aspects of good leadership: vision and mission, operation and management, and relationships and the ability to relate authentically, which was a thread throughout the entire program. And in a nutshell, that really was what BFL was all about: equipping you with the leadership frameworks, tools, and connections to help you refine your vision for your career and for our region, as well as your ability to execute against all of that in a very inclusive and equitable way. And throughout the program, we really try to focus on emphasizing you as the experts. You began by sharing your artifact exercise back at orientation. You learned about inclusive leadership, adaptive supervision, and effective communication. And then you got to put them into practice by developing your own tactics and strategies. And you provided well thought out and researched recommendations to the Greater Boston Food Bank, and I hope ultimately your own organizations, about workplace flexibility of the future. And finally, you began implementing incredibly important projects at your own organizations based on your individual action projects. Throughout the program, you all demonstrated that you are the leaders that Boston needs to lead us into the future. And now we have the incredible opportunity to hear from a leader in Boston, Jessica DeVlieger. Jessica is the global CEO of C-Space, the customer agency. As global CEO, Jessica is focused on organizational growth, helping clients build more relevant and enduring brands by unlocking the power of human relationships and helping employees grow and develop in their roles at the company. C-Space is part of the Interbrand group of companies and has a client list that is incredibly impressive. It includes 36 companies from the Fortune 100, as well as an impressive list of early stage businesses. Prior to taking on the global CEO role, Jessica was the president of C-Space's Americas business. During her tenure, Jessica oversaw consistent growth and helped to introduce a range of new services, including customer strategy and C-Space's proprietary customer experience code. Jessica, we are so honored to hear from you today as global CEO and incredible leader in the Boston business community. I will hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Great to be here with all of you. As Rachel said, my name is Jessica DeVlieger. I am the global CEO for C-Space. My pronouns are she and her. And I have blonde hair, and I'd like to think I look about 30, but maybe just a touch older than that. It's great to be with all of you. Welcome to all of you, and congratulations on your selection to participate in this fantastic program. You know, businesses, organizations, I would say for that matter, the whole world needs more great leaders. And I'm thrilled that all of you have had this experience, and especially, selfishly, excited that a cohort of C-Spacers got to go through this program this year. It'll be so valuable for all of you to bring back what you've learned through this program to your organizations, and we are all lucky to have you in our organizations. I've found over my years of becoming a leader that there's always this debate around if leaders are born or created. I was definitely not born a leader. I think becoming a leader has been a winding path of learning for me. So I'm a true believer that actually very few people are born leaders, and that most of us find our way into these roles through lots of ups and downs and lessons along the way. No doubt that all of you will have different paths on your leadership journey because we're all unique people with our own beliefs and experiences and strengths and weaknesses. However, one commonality among all great leaders, in my opinion, no matter where you are in your journey or who you are, is a commitment to lifelong learning and personal growth. So I thought it would be useful and valuable if I spent my time today sharing just a couple examples of the most important lessons, of some of the most important lessons I feel like I've learned in my leadership journey. Maybe, hopefully, some of you will be able to relate to these lessons I've learned. And hopefully all of you will be inspired to reflect on the lessons you've learned in your life to date through this program. And also think about the work that you still want to do for yourself as you think about continuing on your leadership journey. So I'm going to be a little vulnerable here. I think probably 2 or 3 years ago, I wouldn't have taken this approach to talking about leadership, because I thought that being a leader meant showing up strong, unflappable, having all of the answers. But I've come to learn, particularly through the very humbling last couple of years of all of the disruption and challenges I think we faced in the leadership in the business community, that leaders are human. And I've really come to believe that the more we can show this humanity, that the more people will believe in us, the more people will want to follow us. And hopefully all of you agree with that. So I'm going to share 2 lessons. I think the first lesson that I learned was that everything starts with the relationship I have with myself. And I know that sounds like, for me, it's hard to say that, because I feel like I grew up in a household that was always with a focus on care about, like, put others first, care about how everyone else feels. I was praised as a kid for being a good girl, and I was characterized as a people pleaser. And I've spent, like, as I reflect on it, I've spent a lot of my life taking care of my family and sort of smoothing over conflict with friends and meeting the needs of others, whether it's my children or my bosses at work. And if I'm honest, like many of the habits we all develop, like, this worked really well for me until it didn't. And what I found is as the stakes got higher and as my leadership roles got bigger, I found that I was working harder and harder and being less and less effective and becoming increasingly unhappy with myself. I was working really hard trying to make everyone else happy. And through that was actually finding that I was less and less happy with myself and less effective actually as a leader. Think about those 3 a.m. wake ups that we have when we're feeling unsettled. Those became more frequent. And when I would wake up, the voice that we have in our head, it wasn't very nice to me. So a couple of years ago, I finally reached the point where I realized that something had to change. And I got an outside coach, and she helped me think through, like, really do a thorough evaluation of my leadership strengths and weaknesses. And through this, discovered that in my desire to make everyone else happy, that I'd lost track of what was actually important for me. And particularly as you become a really senior leader, being clear on what's important to you is what people look for from you. I discovered that the more I sacrificed myself, the sacrifice for others, the less good I felt about myself. As you can imagine, this really does become a vicious cycle until you decide to disrupt it. And that's what I did. A couple of years ago, I decided it was time for me to create a change. And this is the work that I do now for myself every day. It's really being very conscious of that voice in our head. We all know that voice. And sometimes that voice can be nice, and sometimes that voice can be not so nice. And the work I do every day is like not because I've got this perfectly, but because I found if I can be much more intentional about how I want to show up and catch myself when I find myself slipping into old habits, I now have an awareness that I can interrupt the cycle before it takes over. I found 2 great, for people who are interested in doing this work for themselves, because truly it does unlock a sense of happiness and also a sense of an ability to lead through challenging times that I think for me has been indescribable in terms of the power it's had. For others who are interested in doing this work, I would recommend 2 things. I think the first is I discovered that journaling is really, really helpful. And that doesn't mean writing stuff every day. It means catching myself when I feel like I've handled the situation really well and capturing that and understanding what I did to have that situation work out so well. as well as capturing myself in the moment when I'm not showing up the way I want to, and really being aware of what's going on around me and how I'm showing up and what I might want to change or be aware of so I don't get caught in that cycle again. The other helpful strategy I've implemented was to tell my close friends and colleagues that I was working on this stuff and ask them for their help. You know, not only did it mean I could have others capturing me and catching me in my bad habits and helping me to change, but it also provided a release for others to share the things that they were working on themselves. So I would recommend to all of you, start by asking the questions. Am I being intentional enough about that voice in my head and what I'm saying to myself? Am I choosing what I'm saying to myself and what I want to listen to? And what do I need to do differently for myself so that I can show up more effectively for others? So that's been just a really huge and important lesson for me. And I share it with you from a place of vulnerability. The second thing that I've discovered is just the importance of cultivating communities around you. And I found that, while half the battle is the voice in your head, the other half is about the people that you surround yourself with. And I've always thought of myself as someone who was great at cultivating teams and having teams around me. But I think there's two really key lessons that I've learned in the last couple of years, particularly as on my leadership journey and as I've become in a larger and larger role. I think the first kicked off around the murder of George Floyd. I guess it's almost coming up on 3 years ago. And that really opened an awareness for me around the importance of having different, diverse voices and perspectives around the table. Certainly, it's much easier when you're collaborating with people who come from the same background and who share a lot of the same views you have. You can get through things a lot faster, but man, you don't really get to very interesting solutions. And, with the murder of George Floyd, we redoubled our efforts around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the rewards that I've discovered personally as well as professionally through that work have just been tremendous. And I think it's been a massive point of emphasis for me as I've thought about building my team and think about the teams that we're building. Because truly, if you want to get to new solutions, you need to have different voices and different perspectives around the table. I think that's the first one. I think the other point for me as a leader is when we show up in these teams, as a leader in these teams, we don't need to know all the answers. Actually, in fact, as a leader around a team, I think it's more important for us to know the right questions to answer, the right questions to ask, versus having all of the right answers to the questions. And actually, when we can ask others to find the answers for us, again, we discover there's whole new answers and people feel so much more engagement around the challenge that you're trying to solve for. So I would say, as you're thinking about sort of cultivating these communities around you, and certainly the Boston Chamber of Commerce is a great way for us to cultivate communities in the business world in the greater Boston area. Some of the questions you can ask yourself is, do you trust this person's opinion, and do they trust yours? Does this person have different experiences and perspectives from your own? And have I created enough safety with this person for them to feel like they have permission to challenge me? And I think if you can do those things, as well as taking care of yourself, it's amazing the power that you can unlock on your teams and within your organizations. So I think finally, in closing, because I'm aware of the time I have here, I just want to say that, again, I believe that great leaders are created, not born. We can all be great leaders. I think we all have the potential to be great leaders because people aren't looking for leaders to be right all the time, nor are they looking for leaders to be the most charismatic or the, always an extrovert or certain personalities or to look a certain way. There's lots and lots of different ways to be a leader. What people want from leaders is courage and authenticity. And I believe that comes from having a great relationship with yourself. And then it's enabled by having trusted communities around you. So I'll leave you with that. I'm certainly happy to share my contact information if anyone wants to continue the conversation or ask me any other questions. And just thank you all for your commitment to becoming great leaders. As I said earlier, we need you in our businesses, in our world. And thank you to the Boston Chamber of Commerce for putting this fantastic program on.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for those incredible and inspiring words. And there was so much that you said that I really resonated with, but one thing you did say, which I loved, was that there's one commonality among all leaders, and that is that commitment to lifelong learning and growth. and that all leaders are human. And that is something we have really learned more than ever over the last 3 years. So thank you for such a powerful message that I know many of us are going to carry on into our own leadership style and our leadership journeys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
I am thrilled to now turn things over to another incredible leader in our cohort, Jasmine Brown Lambert. Jasmine was nominated by her cohort to represent them and share about her experience in BFL today. When I saw that Jasmine was nominated unanimously by her cohort, I was not at all surprised because she has been an incredible leader throughout the past 10 months. Jasmine is the Grooming Product Supply Strategic Program Director at Procter & Gamble Gillette. In this role, she partners with both the Senior VP of Product Supply and the VP of Process and Engineering to deliver the organizational strategies delivering tangible business results. Jasmine is also a leader in the organization for driving cultural initiatives designed to increase inclusion and retention at the site, especially for Black and LGBTQIA+ employees. Jasmine believes that the work of creating an inclusive and nurturing atmosphere is most effective when it moves beyond large initiatives and permeates through everyday interactions amongst employees. Jasmine began her career in equipment engineering, learning how to design and develop industry-leading equipment, enabling the creation of billion-dollar segments for Procter & Gamble. Jasmine holds her bachelor's in mechanical engineering and 2 minors in robotics and language and literature from Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. Jasmine, I'm so excited to have you here today. Please turn your camera and over to you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, Boston Future Leaders Class of 22. It is my honor to try and encapsulate the amazing engagements, learnings, and networking that we completed this past year. I would be remiss if I did not first start with some words of gratitude. Thank you first and foremost to Rachel and Colin, our BFL hosts, for the seamless way you coordinated and executed this year's class. Flawless. Their dedication to ensuring that we were able to maximize our own growth, learnings was evident. Thank you to all the Harvard Business Program professors, especially Professor Cash and his colleagues. Thank you to April and the Free Store Food Bank for their openness to partner with us on the Leadership Challenge. And thank you to Aaron and the rest of the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, since we all know it takes a village. Thank you to our managers, mentors, nominators, and supporters, because you have made it possible for us to be here. And lastly, thank you to my fellow Boston Future Leaders class for truly showing up and investing in ourselves and opening ourselves up to growth throughout the program. It has been my pleasure to learn from the diverse perspectives that this class brought to each session. It is no easy feat to stay invested in the program for a full year, even through role changes, company changes, births of new children, and more. I wanted to take some time to reflect on our time together and highlight some things that truly energized me and made me reflect on my approach to life. First, let's start off with authentic leadership. When I think about great leaders, I've often thought about their impact on me, their impact on others, and their impact on the organization. It hasn't been until recently that I have begun to ponder the impact that they have on themselves. True leadership is actually believing and living principles and expectations that you set for yourself. To do this, we must be true to ourselves. In our vulnerability, we allow growth, which enables us to step into our greatness. From the first activity we had, bringing in an artifact of pride, we've revealed a part of who we are by sharing a story of accomplishment. That translated into the Harvard Business Program's first session on leadership. In this session, we talked about authenticity to lead, connect, and build trust. The energy we have when we show up as our authentic selves is palpable. And just like Kiela Settle's greatest show audition, we can show up best when we step from behind the podium and sing our hearts out. I am also energized by continuing my journey on being a more effective communicator. Truly knowing my audience and speaking to their needs, focusing on listening with curiosity, with attention to what is and is not being said. Knowing that the conversations that I most want to run from tend to be the conversations I most need to have. Because when I engage with others, no matter the nerves I face, I begin the journey to a more productive, more transparent, and ultimately more effective outcome. There are times I forget the power of speaking truth and truly enabling transformational outcomes. At the end of the day, leaders drive change and progress, but this can only happen when we are not debilitated by the discomfort of having a hard conversation or going against the grain. As leaders, we are most effective when we take the time to assess any situation or conversation we enter, reframe our reality when necessary, and commit to the next steps towards change. I am sure I could continue this soliloquy longer, but I was in fact only given 5 minutes. Needless to say, this class is already filled with capable leaders tackling some of today's toughest problems. As we continue to learn, practice, and grow, I know it will only be a matter of time when we move from Boston's future leaders to simply Boston's leaders. Thank you, and now back to you, Colin.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jasmine, for being such a wonderful representative for your cohort. This cohort means a lot to me, as this class's orientation was my first day at the Chamber. So to be speaking at your graduation is a special moment for me as well. As a class, you've overcome challenges we couldn't have imagined at the start of this program, and you didn't wait to make a difference. And it is exactly that level of grit, determination, adaptability, and innovation that we will need to continue our work of making Greater Boston the most welcoming and inclusive place to work. The future is always uncertain, and you will use the skills you learn to shape your organization and region for the better. We will now display the names of our graduates. Please join me in congratulating the Boston Future Leaders Class of 2022 by typing a note of congratulations in the chat window as their names are displayed. Oh, sorry, everybody.
While Colin's getting that up, we do encourage you to write a note of congratulations to someone here that you want to celebrate. It could be a cohort member, family member, colleague, anyone.
Sorry, Rachel, it just disappeared on me. 1 second here.
No worries. I'll take a look at reading through some of the chat while we're getting that up. Amy says, congratulations to all of the graduates. Impressive. I agree. I'm seeing awesome. And I agree, Jasmine. What an incredible speech. Congratulations. Perfect.
Where did it just go?
Congratulations to all of our graduates. We will display your names. And this was a photo that was actually taken at our first Harvard session together back in March. It feels like such an incredible journey amongst all of us, and congratulations, everyone. We'll hand it over to Erin to close us out.
All right, thank you, Rachel and Colin, and thank you again to all of you. Thank you to our speakers today. Once again, congratulations to the class of 2022. Our team cannot say that enough to all of you. In closing, I just want to reflect on a figure that all of you will remember from the second Harvard Business School session. One person that our team within learning development often thinks about is Ernest Shackleton. Shackleton was an Arctic explorer who tried to be the first ever to cross Antarctica on foot You'll probably remember, for those of you who are participants, you'll probably remember the case study that I'm talking about. They all went on this journey, but the ship ended up getting completely crushed by ice. These were unimaginable circumstances that they faced, metaphorically similar to the ones that we have faced in the past 2.5 years, and the world has really changed dramatically. However, when thinking about Shackleton's experience, he was really an inspired leader. He kept spirits high and conflict low amongst the crew through a number of imaginative leadership initiatives, including rotating routine assignments and actively encouraging fun. Eventually, he set out on a rescue mission that was considered impossible, but he prevailed, and he brought every single crew member home alive years after they had set sail. This story always reminds me of the vital importance of leadership and the impact it has not only on the team, but the success of the mission. Just as Shackleton, it's crucial that you, as future leaders, lead with adaptability, perseverance, optimism, and that you prioritize relationship building. Some of these themes we also heard about in Jessica's speech today as well. We truly believe here at the Chamber that magic happens when emerging leaders come together in authentic relationships. Although your BFL program ends today, I hope your commitment to supporting one another, to advocating for yourselves, and to creating the conditions for others to thrive in your work and in your life never does end. Class of 2022, we can't wait to see what you do next, and know that the Chamber will be here for you to support you every step of the way. The city and the region are in excellent hands. This concludes our graduation ceremony. Thank you to all the supporters who joined today. Thank you to our 73 graduating participants for your dedication to this program over the past 10 months. Colin will put a survey link into the chat box, and we invite all participants to complete this evaluation. We deeply appreciate your feedback and ask that you complete the survey before you leave today, much like we did at the end of the hackathon. Go ahead and click on that SurveyMonkey link. It's only 7 quick questions. We appreciate your feedback. And finally, I'll say it one more time. Congratulations, class of 2022. Have a fantastic evening.
Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays and congratulations again.
Congratulations, everyone.